Hey guys, it's Ben here from Second Dynasty, coming at you through the interwebs, and we have, of course, Albin, my cohort.
What's up?
With us on the channel. I want to check your microphone because.
Is it not working?
No, it is. It's just okay. It's labeled the microphone, and then it's actually the one from the camera. So I think it's all working as it should.
Nice.
Let us know if that's an issue for you guys in the chat. I hope when I answer questions in the Traveler realm that I am saying the right things. I do too.
Yeah. Feel the pain.
Maybe I need to make content with my printed ships. Maybe you do, Pulsifer.
Do it. Just do it.
Do it. Speaking of content with printed ships, my manufacturer still has an ongoing competition for the Type S and the stuff we had in that crowdfunding campaign. I believe they've extended the finishing date by a month, so it should now be at the end of October, if I'm not mistaken, or the 2/3 into October, something like that. So I've seen a lot of great community prints already. So make sure you get in your submissions. I wonder if we have a link somewhere to that. I think I can grab that off of our, let's see, event and news and updates. There we go. So let's see. Here it should be. Let me copy link. I hope that's the right kind of link, and I'm going to paste it in the chat.
Pulsifer wonders what kind of a contest it is.
Yeah, it's a print and paint contest. So yeah, I just posted the link to it so you guys can check it out. In fact, I can probably let's see. I want to show you guys this in a second, but we can go to the link and check it out real quick if it loads. My manufacturer has been abysmally bad lately.
Oh, so sad.
There we go. And this is not it at all. Damn. That's the wrong link. Let me see if I can find a different one. Sorry. Our Traveler campaign is live.
Is it event announcements, perhaps?
Maybe.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Woohoo! I did something.
Yes, you're a valued employee.
Thank you.
Let's see, there we go, and let's get this up there instead. So yeah, it's a competition. I believe they have several different levels and prizes. You can win an FTM printer. Yeah, so basically painting supplies, that sort of thing, MMF subscriptions, filament. So yeah, it's, if you've got it anyway. How's it going, Albin?
It is going wonderfully. I just want to check something.
You want to listen to yourself?
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, check that out. The link is in the chat. The other thing I wanted to show off is our good collaborator. Papsicles. I was blanking for a second. Has his very first Kickstarter campaign out at the moment. I will also link to that.
Ooh. I looked at the page.
We have done a deal with them so that we made a free little. I don't know if it's on this page or not yet. I'm gonna have to go right down to the bottom somewhere. Yeah, here you can actually get a free sample that we put up on MMF to let you make this tiny little sort of like alien inspired. This whole campaign is what the Notanante is to the Rothanante, but to the alien universe. So some of our earlier stuff was very heavily inspired by Ron Cobb's work. It's not the kind of work I'd be doing today, but we still do technically have it available. So yeah, we also have a store code on all that stuff for 50% off. So if you haven't picked it up in previous Kickstarters, there it is.
The figurine for, not Ripley, really looks like not Ripley.
Yes, it's not Ripley. I've been assured of that. And Paps has said it's not actually through Papsicles, it's through a third party that Papsicles is there along with LV42.
So it's like a collaboration of some sort?
It is, yeah. Like there's ones from LV427 Designs, also not alien stuff, I promise. But yeah, I do pledge for the. I do have a Papsicle subscription, but I just decided to back for the higher rate just to make sure that they get some money in. And they've opened a ton of stretch goals already. It's like putting me to shame, to be honest. But a lot of this is also from the Patreon and whatnot. So yeah. Anyway, I said I would get this out here, so that I've kind of done that. I put it up on our Facebook as well. So if you are a fan of Papsicles and these miniatures, maybe check it out. I think 41 euros, that's 420 Swedish crowns for me, probably about 50 bucks US, is a damn good price for all the stuff that's on offer.
You get everything?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
So they've already got 23,500 euros. So yeah, check it out if you haven't. Anyway, on to our stuff. I've named this episode. I felt a little bit guilty afterwards because I realized, thanks to the comments on the YouTube video, that of course Ian Stead actually has watched some of these episodes before and follows stuff. So I hope, Ian, you didn't take anything personally. It was only meant in jest. But yes, the title of this one we are calling the AlBen Show Episode 3 Groundhog Day. That being because when I left you guys last time, I was working on the broadsword. And look at what I'm working on right now. The broadsword. Mind you, this is something that I paused and come back to. So, I have been planning a few things. I mentioned a couple of months back that we were going to run a shorter Kickstarter campaign on actual Kickstarter in the middle of October, late October latest, where we will offer some Traveller officially licensed miniatures at 1 to 270 scale, which is approximately X-Wing scales, and then a tactical scale, which would be useful in tactical combat, either using the role-playing rules from various editions, or for example Mayday, which was more like an official style miniature game, as I understand it. So John has been temporarily pulled from Deck Designer because he has some great conversion tools, because we just want to knock some of these out enough that we can sort of get them printed and off to maybe a professional painter sooner rather than later. So that's not impacting Albin's time, although the landing gear has occupied a lot of Albin's time, you might say. So we are running maybe like a week behind schedule, I would say, at this point. These things happen. We're going to talk about... I haven't just been working on this model, though, but maybe we should check in with Albin before anything else. Do you want to share your screen, buddy?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think they should be shared already, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be right. I just haven't prepared.
Yeah, it's okay.
See, pop out.
It's okay.
We want that one, and we put it over here, and then we do that. So, yeah, you are on. What are we looking at?
What are we looking at? Well, first of all, I think we should do a little slideshow. Da, 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 da.
You prepared a slideshow?
I've prepared a slideshow! Well, it's not really prepared in a good way, I guess, but it exists at least. Like me. So, what we're looking at here, speaking of Groundhog Day, is the result of a few arduous weeks. We have been producing or designing landing gears for the Type S. And it's fun. It's a bit challenging technically to get it to work. I've been looking more at trying to express design over function. If you have the older legs, or you should have the older legs. These are not available yet, I guess. They are very squarish, but these I've tried to give a little bit more detail. So I have two different kind of skids basically. So the rear part here is like a. It started out with like a landing gear simulacrum from a Boeing 747, just to get the general concept of how it looks. Now it doesn't really have much of it left in the design, but it just so I could get started. But I made like a hood of kinds for putting the skids in, and this hood design or these leg designs. Oh, John is chatting. Wonderful.
Yes, apparently you have. I forgot to show you streaming mode.
Okay. Yeah, I need to learn stuff. Anyway, so
John says turn off notifications, you potato.
yeah, we will get to that. I'm just going to run through this quickly. So these are the short skids. They are more appropriate for fitting in the hull or fuselage, theoretically. I've been designing these landing gears with a little bit more imagination in mind, so it is not as fitting when it comes to volume as the other landing gears though. So it's a little bit more free form. But here I've used produced skids that are a bit longer, and they are what would you call it? Inspired by an illustrator called Ola Larsson, who currently is living here in Trollhättan, but is going to leave us. This is his last day. He's going back to southern Sweden.
John would appreciate that. We had cake.
We had cake. We had both.
We had this abomination that I have to tell you guys about. It's called a smörgåstårta, which is roughly translated as
sandwich cake, perhaps.
And it is exactly what it sounds like, an abomination hybrid between a sandwich and a cake.
But it tastes awesome, I think. It might be an acquired taste though.
Yes, imagine a bunch of sandwiches which they cover in cream and then put on
cream. Mayonnaise, kind of.
There's cream on it.
No.
The outside of it, like a cake.
You can have sour cream. But you shouldn't have.
That one had cream on it.
Nah.
All right.
Never mind.
We agreed to disagree. In any case, then they put like prawns or shrimp to you Yanks, and they put like a bunch of like cheese and it's not right.
It's awesome.
Don't you dare insult the smörgåstårta, says Mikatron. Yes, exactly. It does sound unappealing, doesn't it?
No.
Maybe you should add to that slideshow a picture of a fucking smörgåstårta.
Okay. Anyways,
we had one of those, and we had a what was the other thing?
Budapest.
A Budapest
roll,
which is kind of like a meringue type thing.
Yeah.
That was much nicer. So we have the wheels. Is the front wheel articulated?
It is not collapsible, so you can't put it into...
No, I mean, does the wheel move?
Yeah.
Yes.
It moves.
Despite that video.
Yeah.
If you led it by the wheel, it will look better. If you had pulled it by the front wheel.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Also might have
but the thing is that, that it is articulated, but the problem is that the ship is... applying its weight onto the axle, which causes friction, so it doesn't really... it's not a smooth operation, unfortunately. But it does kind of work, at least. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a close-up of the front wheel, I guess.
Let's see. Much rather have kladdkaka. I would agree with that.
Nice.
The Canadians have poutine. Sounds and looks disgusting, but is so good I don't judge.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes, I am judging. I have had.
You've tried it?
Of course I've had smörgåstårta. I had a meat poutine version that doesn't have prawns on it because I don't eat seafood. But I would describe it as kind of like yogurt. The first bite isn't good, but you get used to it after the second. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So what I'm currently working on is I'm trying to figure out a way to do the dispensers of ammunition for the missile turret or the turret on the Type S. So I've tried to get some sort of scaffolding kind of thing to make sense. I tried to print a few pieces earlier, but they were a bit too thin, so it didn't really make sense, I think. I'm currently wondering if I could integrate some sort of scaffolding thing with the, what do you call it? Not stairs, ladder.
With the ladder, yeah.
Not sure about that one yet, but because the thing is that when you put in some sort of model in the front of the attic, it doesn't have anything to keep it
in place,
yeah. Because the shape is what you call it, like tapered, and it would probably just fall out of place. So I'm thinking of making it kind of following the angles, trying a piece where you have like a little lip on this one. Just running a test print right now, actually, to see if it makes sense to have it like that and interacting with the floor tilings, just to keep it a little bit more stable. Not sure how this is going to turn out yet. It's a bit of a...
This is new to me as well. Like, what I'm thinking is that maybe you print it upside down so that those sections should actually go all the way to the top there. And then...
oh, yeah.
So basically we take that and we flip it over, right? So it has it kind of built in. That's going to provide a little bit more stability.
So you're thinking the scaffolding is part against the floor, for example? Or
not integrated.
No, not integrated, but you put it on the floor.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is to print it out. I don't know which orientation you've got that in now.
On the side.
It's standing on the side, right? But as it is now, you would have to have that as a separate piece. What I'm talking about is if we make it in such a way that you can flip it, so that you have that side and then the other side, and then I don't think we'll have a full loading mechanism because it's. Let's put it this way: how many weeks have you spent on the landing gear?
Ah, Jesus! It's like
we need to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, it's. We're using the T5 material for the look of the canisters. That's the sandcaster canisters there. Missiles are almost twice as long, maybe 1.5 times. The reason why we're not going to detail it too much is because there is something lost in translation between like the intention of the design and the execution with the imagery that's being provided in T5. And AlBen's also going to work on getting those T5 turrets printable as well.
Yeah.
As a part of this. I'm going to be looking next week more at the Beta Centauri because I'm hoping to move on from some of these models. Yeah. Is that it for this week for now? Or?
Yeah. That's it, I would say.
All right. So I'm going to drop this back to my screen. But the skids, there were a lot of compromises. AlBen was very, very iterative with it. I think the version that he ended up with, it's the best one of the ones we were able to make work with the constraints that we had. Even if it does look slightly like a shoe on the back feet. It serves the purpose, and it looks like it would still fit into the landing gear cavity. So there's some options if you don't like the articulated gears that we've had. I think the wheels look really good as well. So, potentially you could use some kind of combination, although that would make less sense, I guess. So yeah, AlBen.
I'm not sure what is combination. It's like a room or something.
Combination.
Combination. Oh,
Yes.
Sorry, man.
It's all right.
Friday.
It is Friday. It definitely is Friday.
It's in the air.
So what have I been up to? I have been making miniatures. Spaceships. Pew, pew, pew. So we have... Oh, maybe I should switch to the camera. But, oh, it's Albin. I'm going to come to you guys. I have no idea what I look like.
I can put you up.
Hold these, Albin. Show them to the camera.
Okay, let's see now. You want to see it a little bit like that, I guess?
I just show them one at a time.
One at a time.
These are FDM ones, by the way. So, we have the instead FDM version. You can kind of see that those canards on the front actually swept forward a little bit. Just it prints in 2 parts, clips together with an open log clip, and then you can see the turret is there. It uses just a filament. Yeah, if you pull it out, just a little filament that slots in. That's actually the Type A turret that's with it. Mm-hmm. And then we can show the Type A.
Oh.
So John provided a cleaned up model. Let's rotate it a little bit so they can see the detail that we've got in there. So you can see this is actually quite well rounded. You can't really see where the chamfering is occurring. In fact, why don't I in Maya save up this scene and open the Beowulf. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with the turrets. I haven't installed the bottom one yet because I think it'll need some paint to be effective. But let me switch back to the scene here. You can kind of see the geometry that I've increased the details, worked on the paneling just like I did with the Type S. Unfortunately, I don't have any lighting in here at the moment, so we can't really see all of the detail. But yeah, we've got some paneling. We've got, you know, a stand down the bottom. This is the 270 version, 1 to 270 scale. So do you have the Type S that you modeled recently at this scale? We will have it. That's something that we're going to accomplish with John and Deck Designer. The technology we're working on to make miniatures from the shells, basically, or at least get them to, you know, like 98% printable, and we do the last bit with, you know, putting in the supports for the stands and whatnot. Yeah, so this took me the bulk of the week to get to this state. So Ian, it's nothing against Ian's work. He did a fantastic job, but I wanted to increase the fidelity of the original model. I think we've got, for comparison, if I just duplicate that and then scale it down, I think to 0.39, is that right? That looks pretty right. So if we just put this side by side, let's see, something like that. You can kind of see the difference in detail. So we've kept most of the features that were there originally. There are a few things that were too small to print, like this little antenna at the back. I could have made like a bulky version, but I felt like we'll just leave it as a fin. You guys saw how all of those fins actually printed out nicely on FDM. So we're still trying to get our resin printer to work.
Epex.
Although you did get it to work for the tactical version of the Scout, right?
I actually have.
Alright,
I think I showed it last week, perhaps.
Good luck getting that to focus.
Yeah.
If you get it to cover your hair, it might focus. Yeah, now it's gone for your hand at least. Yeah, it's not working. It's not working.
Yeah.
Oh
well. Yeah, the issue is that we need ventilation, and we're currently doing the ventilation through a window, so we can't really have long prints. Well, as long as it lasts for us to work, I guess. So like a work day. That's a little bit constricting, and I've been occupied with the landing gear and other stuff as well. So it's hopefully going to be a bit more resin printing going on next week.
Hopefully, yes. So that's yeah, what we've been up to. I don't know. What do you guys think of the Type A? Do you think it's at a good level? So what we're probably looking at doing now is just converting. It was John's suggestion, but that we want to do 6 of these ships, maybe 7 if you include our Type S, as a sort of like we had originally envisaged doing the 12 that is in that T5 manual, and then another. Well, the Type S on top of that, and I think the Beowulf is actually not in that list normally. So instead, we'll probably just have some renders that we'll get Ian to do with this sort of like more stylized cell shading or shading from SketchUp, but we'll still be able to get like what am I looking for? Soft edges to render. So you know, we need to get these ships to a fidelity that if I made all of this hard edges, it still looks relatively rounded. You can start to see here that the edges aren't soft, but it's a lot better than the base model as far as like curviness goes. So yeah, it's a longer process than I'd hoped, but at the same time, it's still a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll probably get 6 ships or 7 ships as sort of like the base, but we'll be eventually delivering, say, 12 as the base, and then there'll be a bunch of stretch goals unlocked, hopefully. So you guys, by the end of the campaign, if it goes, reasonably well, you should have at least, between 20 and 30 ships that you could put on your game table or print it. Even if you're just a long time traveler fan and you want to print them all out and see them at scale, like we will do them all at approximately 270. I don't know how practical that will be, but some of the models might be quite large. I'm going to be printing over the weekend the broadsword. I'm not going to save this thing. Or at least a version of it so that I can just attach the turrets at a later date. We do actually have, I think, do I still have this here? Let's see, if I go back quite a bit, there we go. You can see it in scale to the Beowulf there, and here is the miniature version of the Beowulf we're actually printing out. It does actually have the same sort of turret port thing, although I don't know in practice if it's maybe better to just put a bulb on those, because they are quite small. But yeah, it scales down well. We're going to test it out later, and you should be able to see a lineup. You kind of could see, like this is not going to be big, but you can kind of see this is like, I believe, our Shuttle Alpha in like the scale I'm talking about. The hex grid underneath, so that's a 1-inch hex. So that would be like for when you want to do tactical combat, right? Where everything, the scale doesn't really matter because you're talking about a map that's actually, many AU wide or something like that. So the broadsword would be one of the larger ships we put out. It's 800 tons, right? Although there might be some that are longer. So I think I did the calculation in just this central piece. Oh, by the way, yes, we will eventually have the craft in their hangars there. So I just wanted to get something onto to the print bed to test it out. And then, like, for this, if we were doing this at a tactical scale with, like, this ship here, this won't actually need a base because of the way it's made. You can kind of say I'm just using 4 open lock clips. I don't know if this will be the final form, because it might make more sense to put the clips on the edges here and then have this area actually hollowed out so that, you know, if you're crazy enough to do it in resin, you kind of could. It might be a bit big, I don't know. But anyway, we would scale this down. Oh, I always do that. Trying to get the Maya scale tools. So if I'll scale it here. So if we scale this down to say 30%, this would probably, or I don't know if we would, because it hasn't got a base either. We might even go down as low as 20. So that would just like probably just fit on a hex, right? Feels a bit small. But yeah. So the point is you want it to just represent, maybe we would actually make it a bit larger, but put, get it to be flying so it's like on its side or something. Damn it, I did it again. Because obviously when it flies it looks like that, but it actually is like the sleep near one layout wise, so it's a vertical ship. Woot for the suppository support ships for the broadsword. Yes, I have called them worse things. Well, not worse things, just they look quite suspicious. So yeah,
why I didn't read it up, because I'm not quite sure what it means, but it sounds weird.
What a suppository is, I'll explain that to you later.
Off air.
It involves an orifice.
Ah, so there.
And medication that is delivered.
Oh, I see now. Ah, ha, ha.
Yes, with one eye. So, yeah, what am I actually doing with this mesh at the moment? We've only got half a ship. I've been liaising with Ian about like how we built these ships in the first place. This one was sort of like done in quarters and then like halved, and some parts were made you know, more detailed than others. I've had to make a few adjustments. You can see these slanted ridges here. That's all to make it support-free printing. So even under here you can kind of see that it's got a slant. I think most printers will be able to manage that. Then we have here John has provided some meshes that they look really dirty. There is some more cleanup to do, but compared to what we had last week, this too, you'll notice, is much more spherical than it used to be. So we've got a lot of the hard angles out of it. Oh, it looks like your print's done.
Ooh, interesting.
Is that at full scale?
Is it scaled down? Tiny dispenser.
I guess the ceiling isn't very high in that section.
Mm.
Anyway, so yeah, we have...
the power!
Well, yeah, we're not quite He-Man, but we try. Say, John, I run a computer automated tools to clean it, and it isn't perfect. No, well, see, we've kind of been striking a balance here because John, although not 3D modeler by trade, is familiar with tools available in Blender, having used it a lot, I believe, with game design. And some of those tools just retopologize meshes better than what we have access to in Maya. Even so, like I've done, basically this afternoon I've been doing manual work to, like these, actually I think we have the other side here. You can kind of see some of the results are not too desirable, where they've created these, you know, loops of things, and then you've got some parts that look rounder than others. I'm just trying to get it to look on the whole a bit even. We've got some n-gons here, and it's just a case of like taking a section like this, separating it, rotating it 7.5 degrees so it fills this section. You know, patchwork stuff. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Let me know if you'd rather watch AlBen work. We can put that on. Yeah, we're trying to find a nice balance between how quickly John can convert the meshes to a point where, you know, it will reduce the workload for us, where we're not having to completely reconstruct things. And in some circumstances, you know, the objects are so geometric that it makes more sense to do that. Like the Beowulf, I've spent probably 4 days on in total, and John probably spent I don't know, John, how much did you spend on that? Was it 5 hours or something? Yeah, 5 hours. So it's not ideal, but if we'd have done that from scratch, it would have taken so much longer. And this is basically the reason why we're going to focus on just doing a few models well. I don't think every ship will take as long as the Beowulf. Part of the issue with the Beowulf was I really didn't like how hard the edges were with the curvy parts. There are other ships that, you know, are much easier to tackle because of the way that they're shaped. So yeah, we do have quite a number that we're going to get to you guys for that campaign. I sort of feel once we can get those 6 printed, then I can put my focus back on actually getting my side of deliverables going. I do feel a little bit guilty because I feel like we need to press out some more stretch goals fairly quickly for the Type S. And we do have quite a number that are lined up that just need the final touches. So there is quite a bit that's, you know, close to being finished. The stuff that AlBen's been on is the more complicated stuff. I sort of said, you know, instead of starting with the easy stuff and leaving the worst for last, focus on the stuff that's, you know, your wheelhouse. Pun not intended, but yeah. It is a little bit quality over quantity. I have also spoken to Shadowlagger, who's done a ton of custom interior parts already, about whether or not he would be cool with, like they're already available on our Discord, but I asked if it would be cool if, you know, we just have a supplemental folder there so that all backers can get access to those variants. So they'll be coming. I'll probably do it at the same time as we do the interior partitions and whatnot. That's what makes sense, right? They're room variants. So yeah, I have, it's one of those things that I've been sitting on for ages, like how do we deal with, you know, community submissions? And I think the best way to do it is to just make them available free somehow. And it seems since they're already there, the opportune thing is to just, okay, with credit, of course, put them out there and everyone can enjoy them. You might consider cleaning the mesh a bit as they are a bit kit bash. Oh, yeah, we'll have a look at them. Maybe provide them as is before we decide what kind of resources we're going to put on them. So here there is actually quite a lot of mirroring going on. And
no smoke though.
Sorry?
No smoke though.
No smoke.
Smokes and mirrors. I'm so sorry.
Oh god. Oh no, AlBen. So I've just got we've got our ambient screen ambient occlusion, screen space ambient occlusion on, just so we can see some of this texturing going on. I think at scale this is going to look pretty good. Like it doesn't feel like there is as many panels popping, but the bottom is much more full of issues than say the top part. But it's also the part of the ship you're not going to see as much. So I think at the scales we're working at, this will be good. That's also a part of why I need to switch the roll later and start printing this over the weekend, right? So I want to get this before I leave to a state where, A, we have some holes here because there are some turrets that are angled that we're going to want to put in there or plug in. I think it's a little too... Yeah, it's a little too small for an open lock clip there, so it's going to make sense to use the plugs that we've used with the filament, right? So, oh, we have actually discovered a bunch of useful tools in this process. Like, we have had for the longest time in Maya a tool, Quadrangulate, that I could never get to work properly because all of these were filled in. But when we actually select a bunch of... Here's an ideal situation. We expand here, select these, and hit Quadrangulate, and it turns it into quads. These have not worked for us in the past. This is saving us a lot of time. So it is kind of like an exercise in 3D modeling skill technique to be converting these kind of models. So whilst it's not unfun, it's tedious, but the kind of work where you can kind of relax because you know what you got to do, right? So you just sort of like sit back, focus on you know, getting the work done, and I guess in that way it's a little bit easier than other sections. I've retopologized this section here to give it a bit more of a curve. I'm going to mirror this section here, so that's going to be the next thing I'm going to do. And I can kind of show you some of the techniques I've been using. So what I'll do is actually just grab a ring like this and expand it, right? And we want to replace that side as well. So what I will do here is just select around about here, I think. So I'm just marking out what I want to cut out first. And then I'll grab those edges. There are still a couple of n-gons and things that can result in odd behavior. But like I said, you know,
spontaneous dancing.
I've had John off deck designer this week, and that's my call. We will be getting back to it shortly. I just want to make sure that we're actually going to be able to launch in time is the main thing I was concerned about. So I can see here that we probably, do we want this? I can see that's broken there. This isn't cleaned up yet though. So I think we're just going to stick to this section right now. So I'm just going to invert the selection and delete. And then what I'll do is take that. You can see the pivot points at the center of the ship. So we're just going to mirror that in the X. I'm going to delete the history. Wait, freeze the transformation is probably the better way to do it. And then all I'm going to do is go back to this mesh, right, that's on top of it. And basically just cut out the outside of this. So it should be something like this. You can see the n-gons here that we've left in. And if I delete all of this, we should... Oh, no, there's something still hidden in here. What is it? There. No, there's another one here. Alright. So if we get rid of these, we should then be able to combine these objects and merge them together. I see that there's also a section here I'm going to replace because we've made a higher fidelity, more cleaned up version on this side. The same is true of these. So I think that'll just be the next section to tackle, but what I might do first is clean up this little corner. So let's switch back to mesh mode. See, this is undesirable as a corner. I think I actually have cleaned that up a little bit, but so this is meant to be divided into threes. It's a little bit of a mixed bag what we've got in here. I eventually want to copy this as well, but I want to make sure. See, this is a simple thing that we can do here to. Hang on a second. Is this what I want to do? No, not yet. See, I've been doing a combination of retopologizing things to sort of make it a bit more rounded. I don't think it hurts that we have like some parts that are sort of like more plated than others. It still is like a construction that would have been made of more like plates that aren't necessarily curved per se. So there probably is some natural like chamfering going on in a ship like this, where it's essentially you just create enough degrees that it looks rounded, but in actual fact it's, you know, faceted. So yeah, we've got this side, and I think we've gotten rid of most of the faces we want to get rid of. That's messy, and we want to grab. Do we want to grab this as well? Probably. See, the thing is I don't want to get too much at a time, because I'll lose track. So I'm gonna... And again, this is just sort of like an area where I've already added back in some detail. Alright, so those we want. And we can go ahead and grab these. There are still a few n-gons I've left in.
Just for funsies.
For shites and giggles. This part is not fully done. I don't like that geometry. It is ugly as, but I think it's fairly simple to fix. So let's just grab that. We'll grab this section here too, so we can just outright replace it. I mean, it's hideous, but this is a compromise. And again, I'm not saying that it's Ian's work that is hideous at all. I just mean the translation. It's kind of like using, you know, Google Translate as opposed to being a native language speaker, right?
That's a good comparison.
John says, Ben, you're not allowed to laugh or smile or be happy. Too bad, John. I am happy.
I'm so happy!
Is it not symmetrical? Could you not bisect it and just mirror the completed half and join? I'm probably missing something. Yeah, there are small changes. It is mostly symmetrical, but the thing is, like, right at this point, before I've already halved it for that reason, right? But why I didn't quarter it is, like, for example, you can see this circle here, but it's not present on these edges, right? So, technically I could halve that, but what I've gone and done before I thought to do things this way is I've, like, worked on one half or the other half, but not both symmetrically. So, I did make it harder for myself. Medium face, I don't think there's anything wrong with learning Blender. This is Maya, by the way, not Blender. But this costs significantly more than Blender, so I would recommend learning Blender because it is free. Not to mention, like, the modeling tools that it has are quite impressive, and I really wish that Maya had them. Alas, Maya does not. And Maya will continue to frustrate in the future, I'm sure. So I'm just going to grab this for now, and I'll mirror that. Do the same thing I did before. Wait, sorry, I made a copy. I don't want to do that. I want to mirror there. I'm freezing the transformations because if I scale in the negative in the X, that will result in flipped geometry when it is converted to STL later. So this is like a process to avoid issues with the mesh later as well. So now we're just going to go back in, take our, I'm just going to make sure, yeah, these fit together quite nicely. Actually, we can go and combine that. So yeah, as the blasted salmon flange brought up, the optimal way would be to work on a quarter instead. Even though there are some minor differences. For example, you see a hole there. There is no hole on this side. The plating is a little bit different. So it isn't quite the perfect mirror. Let's see. So we grab the unwanted geometry from here. And some of this, you know, will actually result in some holes. I'm not too worried about that right now, because the next thing I'm going to do is replace this cleaned up section, or rather copy this one to here. But we can go and grab all of these, if they will work. So that's deleted. I'm going to delete that. And then we wanted to delete these. You can kind of like just delete and see if there's a face underneath to figure out where the borders are. Did I do that square thing? I think I did. So, and there. Oh, for some reason we're missing some geometry there. That's odd, I mustn't have selected it. Easily remedied though, because now it is actually all you know, in the right shape. So we should be able to just delete that, and I believe that now looks like you should take that out. The hole fits, right? So I think we can safely go and mesh, combine, and this will probably still be a headache later, but in general. So now we can go and select that, and we should be able to bridge, and yeah, we've got the geometry that we desired. Let's see. I based a fair chunk on the broadsword hull design on. Oh, that's you, Ian, is it? Mid the den face. Okay. On the Bill Keith image from the classic adventure and TAS. Yeah, like Blender could be a good move for you because, like, for one thing, you like to make renders, and Blender definitely can make a lot better renders than SketchUp. But polygon modeling is sort of its own beast. But I believe there are lots of resources out there. So yeah. Will the free version do those renders, or do I need the dollars version? Do you mean for Blender? Blender, you should be able to render without any issue, I believe. Yeah. John, maybe you can answer that. You're more of a Blender person. Like I've mentioned numerous times, the only reason I'm not switching to Blender really at this stage, since Maya is something like 20,000 crowns a year, and I use 1/10 of the functionality. Blender would be more attractive, but I kind of like already retrained once from 3D Studio Max, and I just feel like I'm too old to be bothered. And it's also like a case of having the downtime. Like, yeah, I can transfer the skills I have to modeling in Blender. It probably wouldn't take more than a couple of weeks to get up to speed, but it's like, when are you going to get that time? Especially, you know, if we want to deliver all this stuff to you guys. So, let's see. I think we'll focus on this bit right now. So, again, I'm going to duplicate and just go into editing mode. I'm just going to expand my selections until I can grab basically this entire section here. This is a bit more boxy than what I would like, but it doesn't look like, despite these subdivisions, that we've got a curve going on here. So there's no point in like retopologizing this because we'll be keeping that. And to be fair, it's fairly flat, so it's not as noticeable. So let's do this. Do our mirror. Yeah, but Blender is polygonal modeling, kind of like what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, the other thing too is it's a good skill to have. There's I would say probably more work with that than SketchUp. I don't know if SketchUp is used much in. It probably is used in some professions like architecture or something. Mm-hmm. Probably because it's I believe it's more accessible than other CAD programs, but it should use more like what we call NURBS, which I don't know anyone that uses NURBS in Maya anymore.
Yeah, it's like when you're rigging, for example, or...
Yeah, it's mostly to create controls and things, like for animation, so...
Or, what's it called? Jesus Christ. Yeah, never mind, I can't find the words.
It's Friday!
Woohoo! The lack of beer is significant.
Oh.
Shouldn't have said that.
To beer or not to beer. Oh, I know. I'll leave it up to the audience.
Ooh.
I really probably shouldn't. As you probably noticed from the stream, I've gained quite a lot of weight the last year. Oh, God.
Midden Face is saying that SketchUp needs an external render engine for a very good render.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, maybe yeah, Ian would know about how he manages to get the renders out. So, I thought you were referring to. I thought it was being referred to Blender. Mm-hmm. Does it use like RenderMan or something?
I think you can. I think there is like a port where...
Yeah, like uses open source stuff. So like. I know RenderMan is Pixar's old rendering engine, and they made it free. And you know that's, you know, I've used some tools in Maya which I'm pretty sure people have just ported over from Blender. I think because it's in active development, like anyone who's familiar with Photoshop, or especially like After Effects or Premiere, knows that, you know, well, I don't think it's a secret that Adobe has gotten extremely complacent. They're not innovating it at this point. They have a captured audience. It's the same thing with Autodesk. They have cornered the 3D market pretty much completely. Basically, the only thing they don't own is Blender. And Cinema 4D, I think. There might be others, but, you know, as far as market share goes, they're essentially like Amazon, right? And they've just stopped caring. But Blender is still being innovated upon. And that is kind of attractive to me, the idea that, you know, people actually care. Okay, here we've got an issue. Here there's some curvature going on, so we could maybe add back in some curves. And this isn't going to be perfect because of the angles and whatnot, but what I'll actually do is grab just these. Then I'm just going to do a basic extrusion, but I'm going to drop the pivot point to match, like so. And then we just recreate an edge bridge here. And there you can kind of see this follows a lot better, right? We don't actually have anything there to compare it to, so yeah, it's better than it was. And then because of the way that these faces are set up, if we just delete a few of these and then recreate this geometry, I'm just going to add in some face fills here. We're going to triangulate, and then we're going to just run it through the quadrangulate so we get the optimal angles. And you can kind of see that this side now is a lot better than this side, right? So yeah, let's see. RenderMan is on Blender, but it has cycles and Eevee built in. You loathe After Effects. I have to cancel my Creative Cloud for lack of funds. Oh, had to.
That sucks.
I kind of hate it because I do use Photoshop. I used to use a program that I was really happy with a long time ago. I think it still exists, but you know, it got sold out to a different company called PaintShop Pro, and I prefer that to Photoshop. But After Effects, you know, it was kind of necessary for compositing on the films I've worked on, and Albin's worked on films with it as well.
I mean, it's...
It does what it does, but it doesn't do it perfectly. And it usually, like, it's a memory hog. It crashes unnecessarily often, I believe.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a pain at times.
That's an understatement. We technically have them here as well. So let's... got the cough going. Alright.
There's a really good and cheap program that I use in place of Photoshop. Clip Studio Paint. Blasted Summer Flaunch is commenting this.
Right, yeah, I mean, I just pay for Adobe. I hate myself a little for doing it, but I do. It's just, you know, the convenience of it. But, like, it steals memory. Like, I have a hog of a machine. It's, you know, got a 3090 in it. It's got 64 gig of memory. And I can't run a proper render on Maya and have, you know, Adobe running at the same time.
No.
Which is utterly ridiculous. Well, I can, but I have to turn off graphic acceleration. And it's like, no matter how much memory you say, stick to this, it always finds a way to crash whatever I'm doing. So, for shame, Adobe. Resting on your laurels.
Shame! 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 Isn't that like nearing the end seasons of Game of Thrones?
Yes, Albin.
Yeah.
That's a Tristan.
Uh-huh. Oh, look at that! I actually got a... That's so weird.
What?
I got a GIF of it from a friend who is watching the stream at the same time.
Oh, okay.
That's so weird.
So I've
Hello,
noticed,
CJ.
I've noticed that AlBen has his own fans. That's awesome.
Yeah, I need it because it's really warm in here.
I wonder.
Shoot me. I don't deserve anything.
I didn't say anything. See, that's the great thing with AlBen. You don't really have to say anything.
It's like a self-playing piano.
A self-playing piano. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Alright, so I just need to get... Oh, that's definitely not the right angle. Oh, what? Oh, I changed the wrong angle. That's why. I was rotating in X and I should have been doing Y. So this looks like we need to drop it down to maybe 2.5? Ooh. This is going to be hard to align. Why am I doing this? Because I've noticed that there's a curve there. So if I can find the right... Maybe 3... Is it 4? 4 is too far. 3.75. Okay, that... Oh, okay, it's not actually aligned properly.
Apparently it's kind of relaxing watching someone clean geometry.
Is it an old classmate?
Yes.
Alright. So, yeah, that's pretty much our job these days. Let's see. 3 was too much. So I think 2.75 there. No? 0.5 maybe. Yes. Alright, that looks better. That looks usable. It could be usable over there too, but yeah, actually let's do that. Duplicate, put that back to a 1. Rotate into place, 52.5. That is right, it's just we want to ditch this geometry and rebuild. Alright, cool. So yeah, I'm using these as guidelines. I will put them back in as well. Some days I'm just like, oh man, I should have just redone this from scratch. Because there are so many different approaches. In the end, we end up using some kind of Frankensteinian sort of like monstrosity.
Let's see.
Patchwork of tools.
I think we got some images on Discord from Midden Face. Was that Ian?
Yeah, that's Ian.
Ah! Hello, Ian.
Are you able to share it on yours screen? Or
I
what
could
should
perhaps, yeah, let's do that.
Let me know when it's done, and we can switch over to that.
Jesus. Let's see.
We're at 4:04. Normally we just do this for an hour, but I'm going to be doing this until I can make something printable anyway. So
I think it's on my screen at the moment.
well, you should know.
Yeah. I just want to check if it's working correctly.
Oh right, yes, the Hiver ship.
They look
so
really
I can switch
saucy.
this over to here. So yeah, this was Ian's most recent render, and I was talking to him the other day about how we could maybe do the stretch goals. So like if he has more pictures, or if you have, since you're in the audience, more renders that can get this style, this would be like the kind of graphics we would use to illustrate stretch goals. And then we would do the process of, converting this to something printable post-campaign or during the campaign. Because the campaign, because it is on Kickstarter, we won't have the advantage of My Manufacturer where we can give everything up front. So it will be a longer delay. But still, I would imagine most of it should be delivered by the end of the year. Cool. Thanks for showing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I extruded this already. No. Yes. No. No. So let's do an extrude. I didn't really need to change the orientation of the pivot point. It doesn't really matter since... oh, okay, we've missed something here. Let's reselect these and try that again. Let's see, I'm not, just uploaded 3 images to the Discord. I am working on cleaning right now. It's nice to have you in the background. Well, thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
That line image rocks. Classic travel look. Yes, it's a pretty awesome picture, Ian. Yes, you're talking about the catalogue you were going to make, Ian. I'm sure there are a lot of Traveller fans that would like it. I might be scared of some of the other Type S mods you're scheming. I would be scared to do it myself, but you know, if you're doing it, I'm not scared of that. I don't have to worry about those ones. I just don't want to overpromise things.
Yeah, that's a good
I guess one of the things we see here is the fact that there's an overlap here between fandom and... obviously I'm running a business at the same time. So whilst if it came to like Macross ships, I absolutely love Macross, and I spent many years making, Zentradi destroyers and things. That's kind of like something I would put my own personal time into, and I guess that's the difference here. It's like here, this is kind of like your time, which you guys that support us at Second Dynasty kind of like are buying this time, and I don't want to abuse that, I guess, because at the end of the day we do still have to pay our bills and stuff. I'm just going to drop this down a little bit. It is a bit of a weird angle, but it'll look a little bit more natural if we just sort of like get this kind of shape in. So I'm gonna have to take this one out now, and one more, because we'll replace that, and we may as well integrate this and that, combine, delete the history, freeze transformations. That didn't really need to be done, but, and this should be a 45-degree job because it is the same. Looks slightly off, so I'm wondering if maybe we should just mirror it in X to be sure, and do that. That looks like it's lining up better. Alright, so we can get rid of all of this nonsense. There we go. I mean, some of this is overkill, but I kind of want to get it to a point where I can do stuff like this and just add in some additional plates. Which will just give us a little bit more, like if I turn off the wireframes, we want to create this, geometry sticking out, because it'll be more effective with the actual model. Let's see. Oh, mods. I did a Type S with wings. Yes, the Hunter, right? Or Aero Scout, okay. Ben designed a modified winglet for the Type S he printed. Yeah, the winglets... Did we finish the winglets?
They are not done yet.
They're not done.
So they are a, what do you call it? Not an add-on, but a stretch goal.
They were a stretch goal, yeah.
So they are up and coming, or coming up, perhaps, you say, in the future.
They will be arriving in the future, yes. So we need to delete a few more surfaces here, I believe. So these ones need to go. And we'll rebuild that geometry here. That looks like it'll match up, so we just need to get rid of the nothing, because it's already there. Alright. So let's go ahead and integrate these. Mesh, combine. Oh damn, I should have put a hole in the middle of those. Oh well, I'll do it later.
Decompressing noises.
So there is kind of like a zenness about doing this kind of work. It's tedious, but it doesn't require too much brain power. And I do kind of like the days where we can sit and just listen to podcasts or, have YouTube on in the background or streams or whatnot. Because you're not trying to problem solve, right? Or rather, the problems that you're trying to solve are obvious. Yeah, that we need to clean up.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. That's one of the things I'm having issues with, I guess.
What?
Just the problem-solving part. It takes up a lot of time when it comes to like the landing gears and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that I should have mentioned that. The landing gears are like a high function, sort of requiring thing to sort of do. Alright, we need to clean
It's
that
fun
up
though,
eventually.
but you get a little bit stressed as well.
In many ways, I would say it's more rewarding solving those issues. But yeah, they require a lot more resources, a lot more time, and a lot more trial and error.
Yeah.
And that can get frustrating.
Especially when you print something and you paint out where you want the supports to be. And then you forget to turn on the supports for the print. That's wonderful. It's happened a few times.
Oh, so you mean to say the issue with the prints is actually user error?
It is definitely user error, unfortunately.
I'm glad you're so honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to be at least. Don't want to promise too much.
No, indeed.
Oh,
right.
Jesus Christ. Do you think it's really hot?
It is quite warm in here, but you're talking to an Australian, so...
Ah, yeah. Good point.
I've had worse. It's very hot for September
what it is.
10th. September 10th, Jesus.
That's insane. That's why people are talking about 9/11, perhaps.
Yeah. That would be it. 20 years tomorrow. That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. Blessed Camouflage are wondering things. Will the landing gears be used in future ships, though? If so, you've saved time, saved future time.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the idea.
Hopefully. The issue is, though, that they are kind of adapted to the underside of the scout ship. So, I mean, we are going to be able to reuse design elements from it and different solutions. So, let's say we have Beowulf in the future, for example. What do you call it? Articulated legs, for example, might not be a good fit for Beowulf. As they are foldable and designed for a specific space. Wow, that was very avant-garde. But on the other hand, I will be able to reuse the legs and change around the dimensions and have a much faster design and development phase.
Exactly. We basically got a template to go off.
Yeah.
Oh, this is still a mess. I don't know if I want to copy this just yet. Let's whoop. What happened? Do we have 2 copies or not? Yes, we do. I had isolated it. So I'm going to clean this up first. I think we're probably going to end the stream in like a little bit. I'll still be working, but we've got some admin to do. We also have Ola, who is leaving the office to go and work in Malmö, in Scania, where people speak with special dialects. It sounds cooler in English. Scania. Damn, did I destroy some geometry I wanted to keep? Yes.
Maybe.
So I'm going to problem solve this.
This is going to be interesting.
Yes. I think I know. Do I though? Okay, let's change the pivot point. I'm going to set it to there, and I'm going to go up there. Oh, it's not quite in the middle.
Oof.
But you know what? It's at the right angle anyway. It's slightly off. Slightly. Actually, if that's going to happen, we may as well just do this, where we link that to there.
So we've got a few comments, I think, here. Blasted Camouflage. Ah, the PEBCAC. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. So I guess that's me.
What? Yes. Yes.
And then John is sorry.
Don't know what he's sorry for now.
For now. And Shadow Liger wants advice for those who are doing partition mods.
Advice?
Oh,
right. For the
don't
partition.
piss in the wind when it blows against you.
We just say don't piss into the wind, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we've got some...
Like tears in the rain or piss in the wind.
It's not quite as beautiful as Blade Runner in that context.
That's a weird editor's cut.
Well, there probably is that cut, to be honest. There's so many of them. Any tips? Well, what software are you working with, Shadow? I can't remember if you're using Maya or if you're using CAD.
He's using CAD, I think. Aren't you using like Fusion or something?
I need to figure out how I'm going to paint for that competition. A lot of people do. Right, so now I have a selection here that I'm...
Prusa Slicer, SolidWorks, NetFab Basics. Ah, okay, SolidWorks. That's CAD.
That's a CAD, yeah.
That's a CAD. Someone was wondering earlier if I have kids because of my humor. I don't have kids as far as I know. So I think I'm just born with it.
He's an animator, so he's
Yeah.
childish. Animators never lose their childhood wonder
No.
and annoyingness.
The childhood trauma.
Well, there's a reason why we become animators, right?
Yeah. No, I had a great upbringing actually. I was only beaten on Thursdays.
I was about to say, what are your parents on or something?
No, they are actually wonderful people. Knew them all my life. That's a very weird translation of a Swedish sketch, by the way. So I'm sorry for that one.
Okay, I've just noticed that this is actually not fully mirrored, so I'm going to go back here. And also the geometry around here is fixed, so I'm going to do some changes. Whereby I'm going to duplicate this. That's the other reason why we're going to end this stream soon, because my brain is not working. Let's see, pets count as kids. Oh, in which case I have a kid. Let's see, I'm going to grab this loop. And I'm going to grab this inner loop. That outer loop. No, I want to go back to that later. I think we'll grab these inside pieces. Could have sworn that sounded like Hannes' door, but he's not at work today.
Oh, do you know, is he up to something fun?
He got vaccinated yesterday, so he's surviving.
Oh, he's down for the count.
Well, I don't know.
Probably.
Or maybe Ulla's making off early. Alright, so that looks better. Let's gut that out. Uh-oh. No, it's fine. Alright, so
Ion is Ian is commenting the triangle there was supposed to be a decal or hole marking like the eject warning triangles on a jet aircraft.
Of course. There are a number of decals that I've just integrated into 3D geometry, and the idea being that is if you just take the model and it's going to be about this big, probably by the end of things, and you could just, you know, get away with a lot by base painting than shading and dry paint brushing, and you could just touch up those details and not have to worry about actually using decals. Let's see, I need that to be 117.5? No, 102.5. There we go.
Jay Slatter is referencing what's it called? The Holy Grail, Monty Python, isn't it? What's it called?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh, okay.
Tristan.
Same as I said, but reverse. Dexter the Rabbit, as in the serial killer. Oof.
What?
Yeah, it's becoming something. Welsh corgi here, noble critter.
Oh right, yes, I have the beast at home. Wilma, my Saint Bernard.
Very cute dog.
Yes, all 70 kilos of her. Alright. I'm getting quiet, so I need to I need to pick up my energy or get off the line. Oh god. I just got a flashback to being a teenager and having to share the hard line with my brother. Really lucky that my youngest brother wasn't that interested in the internet, or else it would have been even worse. I remember logging into BBS's to play Legend of the Red Dragon. Yeah, so there's a couple of things here that we're just going to patch up, because they're going to lead to holes. This is just nonsense here. Is that what John was apologizing for, maybe? Just that there's a lot of mesh cleanup?
Oh, that might be it.
Or don't apologize for that, John.
He's kind of apologetic.
He is.
For his existence sometimes.
Yeah, but oddly not with the notion of sacrificing you, so... It must just be a personal thing.
Yeah.
No, the point is that a lot of time has been saved, so I wouldn't burden yourself with any concern for that, John. It's the same as like the case with Ian. It's like, I have an awesome start here. It just takes some time. Is that my wife that keeps buzzing me? I think I might be getting beer on the way home. Can you guys in the chat enable me, please, as far as beer is concerned? Should I get a beer? Should I get several? Oh, by the way, in Sweden, apparently COVID ends at the end of this month.
Yeah.
They've announced...
It's wonderful. Very
all restrictions
efficient.
will be removed.
It's great that you can put things like that in your calendar.
Maybe,
Oh, goddammit. I want beer now.
well, there's nothing stopping you. Aside
Except
from having to go to Overby and buy it. Yeah. That's how I feel as well.
The good thing is that I actually enjoy a... what do you call it? An ordinary
People.
Folk.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
We call it folköl in Swedish.
Yeah, like light beer.
Yeah, 3,5. It's like...
medium strength beer,
yeah,
maybe.
medium strength beer. Brought to you by AlBen at Second Dynasty.
Oh, we need to give you an email address. So people can bother you.
Oh no, I don't want to.
Alright, let's close that up. I don't honestly know if I'm going to get this on the printer or not. I think what I'm going to do is... Oh shit, what happened to our...
Apparently there is a thing called the Hive Bay in the UK, according to Craig.
I'm sure there is.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of odd, but I feel like travel has more of a following in the UK than it does in the US. I wonder if it's because of like some kind of misconception about the fact that traveler is spelled the English way and not the American English way.
People are very picky about the spelling then.
Oh, I mean, it's called English, not American.
That depends on who you ask.
Well, not really. It's not subjective.
No, it shouldn't be.
Alright. Nothing to do with Traveler, but it worked nice when I placed some bottles on our game table. Second Dynasty craft beer.
What kind of a...
Wait, were people enabling me or not?
I think they are enabling you. I mean, they are talking about beer.
Yeah.
So either they are shaming you or enabling you. I think it's... I don't know.
You think it's a bit of both?
Perhaps.
Alright. I'm just going to close these holes off. I'm going to duplicate it so that we can have a look at what it looks like when it's all put together.
Ooh.
And then we're going to call it a day. And I'm going to try and get that on the printer, even if I don't think I'm going to get... I may have to glue on those turrets at the top. Let's see, did I duplicate this or not? No, I did not. So I'm going to duplicate, choose the faces, invert. Then I am going to... actually, I should be able to rotate this 180 and it will land there. And if I duplicate that and mirror in the X, we should be able to rotate it into place there. So if we combine this, mesh combine, and then we select all that. And we combine it. There we go. So I should have gotten a version of the model from before and after I knew, but let's duplicate this again, and now we should be able to just turn it 180, and then we'll be binding that together again. So you can kind of see we're going to get some nice geometry when we print it. I might do just a couple of extrusions on this to get some plating in place, but I will do so off air. I want to thank you guys for being with us again. It was great to see our regulars. It seems like we're actually getting, a fair few people turning up. I've seen too that when we put this up on YouTube, there's been a fair amount of comments. That's great for us. Please keep doing that and leave your suggestions. And we will be back on Friday as usual, I think.
Yeah.
I have ordered, I forgot to tell you, Albin, but I have ordered some new cameras and microphones so that we can pick up the quality a little bit.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it goes the way of our printing or not. In any case, we're going to get this prototype up. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon / night or morning wherever you are. And we'll be back next week with some further updates. Closer to the goal than ever. All right, bye guys.
Bye-bye.